goes through a maze autonomously, picks up an object using a variety of sensors, and brings it back to us. This image on the right here is our FTC robot we built for competition. I want to talk less about the robot itself, though, but more about the sensors, specifically 3D printing required to make them work. So here are some things we've 3D printed in the past. This model here is a shroud, or a bracket rather, for a sensor. You can hold 2 sensors on this bracket at different angles. This is another bracket, but for a VEX ultrasonic sensor. It's a different kind of sensor. And you see we have these holes here, with which we can fit a rod through. We can scan it on a servo motor, so we can put it at different angles. These 2 models here are shrouds for the sensors. The one on the left for the VEX sensor, and the one on the right for the sensor that we're currently using, which is the max body sensor. Now, the purpose of having a shroud on the sensor is to produce a more narrow beam pattern. We want a more narrow beam pattern so we can make our readings better, more accurate. And there's an inverse correlation between the diameter of the exit aperture of the sensor, with which we can increase with the shroud, and the spread of the beam pattern. We'll get to more in a moment. First, here's the data sheet of our ultrasonic sensor for the VEX robot. It has a frequency of 40 kilohertz and a wavelength of 8.61 millimeters, a time period of 25 microseconds, and with a pulse duration of 250 microseconds. You're looking at about 10 cycles per pulse, and this is an image of what a sample pulse might look like. This is the data on the max body sensor. It has a frequency of 42 kilohertz now, but it has a 20 hertz reading rate, which was a limiting factor when we were programming with it. It has a variable pulse width and a beam spread determined by this equation here, where C is the speed of sound, not the speed of light. F is the frequency, which is 42 kilohertz. D is the aperture diameter, which is 16 millimeters in the sensor, but when we put on the shroud, it becomes 25.4. And theta over 2 is the half angle spread between minus 6 dB points. And what I mean by this is if you look at this diagram here, these would be the minus 6 dB points. And we want the half angle spread. So the half angle spread of this sensor will be about 30 degrees. Now, here is a diagram depicting the beam spreads. Without the shroud, the beam spread is 30 degrees. When we put on the shroud, it becomes 19. These red lines are the new sensor that we have here. This is a sensor that we bought rather recently. It's a more high-end sensor. It has improved range resolution of 1 millimeter, which is going to give us more accurate readings. And it has a shroud built in, which gives us a beam spread of 11 degrees. Now, the surface roughness also affects the measurement. On a completely rough surface, the beams, you can see the reflected pulse is very clear. Now, if we extrude some shapes onto that surface, you can see it becomes less and less distinguished. And as we keep getting a rougher and rougher surface, the reflected pulse becomes less and less clear and defined until we get to a completely randomized surface, and you can hardly detect a reflected pulse at all. This is because when we send a pulse out to the surface, the pulse will scatter, which is why you can't see as clear of a reading. Now, we have some other sensors on our robot. I wanted to skip the video to sort of save on time here, a little short on time. We have a gyro sensor on our robot, which we can use to detect its orientation on a field. We can use that in tandem with our motor encoders to determine its position in the field. We have an arm on our robot, which we can use to push buttons in certain places. And we do that. We use a color sensor on that arm, so we can extend the arm and detect a color on an object in order to make sure we're pressing the right button. We also have limit switches, which we use to detect pressure to make sure we're pressing the button with enough force. On the bottom of the robot, we have line trackers, which we use to detect white tape on the field, so we can align it to certain orientations, which will help us complete certain tasks. And that is the gist of my presentation. Does anyone have any questions?
Yeah. Let's take a question or two while we